Welcome to the deep dive. If you're a Pi pioneer, or maybe just someone tracking the, let's say, creative side of crypto, you've probably seen the buzz. Today, we're tackling something that's really blown up. This huge claim about the Pi network cryptocurrency, the global consensus value, or GCV.
Yeah, the big one. $314,159 per coin. It's everywhere in certain circles.
Exactly. And we're digging into it using a pretty detailed fact-check analysis. This one's dated November 1st, 2025. It looks specifically at where this idea comes from, especially some recent clickbait pieces suggesting it's official.
Sources like Coinfomania get mentioned.
So let's just cut to the chase here because this is important. If you've seen that number, $314,159 per Pi, here's the absolute bottom line up front.
Go on.
It's a community fantasy. Pure and simple, it is not official. The Pi core team has never, ever stated this value.
Absolutely critical point. And just for comparison, while this, fantasy number is floating around, the actual market price for Pi listed in this analysis is around 24 cents USD.
Yeah, 24 cents to 24 cents. So the gap between 24 cents and $314,159, it's kind of mind-boggling.
Astronomical, really.
Which leads to the big question, the one that I keep coming back to. Why that number? Not a million, not 10,000. Why $314,159? It feels so specific.
It does, and the origin is actually symbolic. It comes directly from the mathematical constant pi, which starts 3.14159.
Okay. So it started as a nod to the name.
Exactly. The project even had an early mining rate that was symbolic, like 3.1415926 pi per hour. Just a fun little thing.
Makes sense.
But somewhere along the line, parts of the community latched onto this. They didn't just see it as a symbol. They saw it as, a price target.
And they just kept adding digits.
Sort of, yeah. It escalated. People started talking about $3.14 and maybe $31.04, then $314.159. And eventually, somehow, it landed on this massive $314,159 USD figure. It's like a game of telephone gone wild with decimals.
Wow. And that's fertile ground for clickbait media, right? The analysis mentions Coinfomania again with the headline like, Pi Network claims a stunning $314,159 value. That sounds pretty official.
It sounds official, but that's the trap. When you actually read the article, according to this fact check, it doesn't cite the Pi Core team at all for that claim.
So who does it cite?
Community posts, tweets from unofficial accounts, like someone mentioned here, at Mansing1B. It becomes this echo chamber.
Ah, I see. Community says X, outlet reports. Community says X, but maybe implies more. Community sees the report and says, see? It's being reported.
Precisely. It feeds itself. And this GCV idea really gets pushed by, unofficial ambassadors, big social media groups.
The analysis mentions places like India, Vietnam, the Philippines.
Yeah, high engagement areas. And definitely clickbait YouTube channels promising $314,159 confirmed, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's a grassroots phenomenon, but completely detached from the official project direction. Let's pivot to that official side then.
Please.
We know the core team hasn't said $314,159, but some argue their silence while building this sort of closed ecosystem could be seen as like tacit approval, letting the community build value expectation. Is that a fair read?
It's an argument you hear, but based on this analysis, it's a really dangerous assumption. The fact checkers looked everywhere. The official blog on mindpi.com, the @PiCoreTeam Twitter, the Safety Center, zero. Absolutely no mention of GCV, no hint of a fixed $314,159 price. The consistent message is always, value comes from utility, from real-world use, from the market, not from wishful thinking or community decree.
But what about the white paper? That's a common claim, right? That the proof or hints are buried in the original Pi white paper. Did the analysis check that?
It did. And again, nothing. The white paper talks about the economic model, scarcity, the halving mechanism where mining rates decrease as more people join.
Right, standard tokenomics stuff.
Exactly. It mentions balancing scarcity and access. The goal, explicitly stated, is to avoid concentrating Pi in just a few hands. It's about balance, not about setting an astronomically high fixed price from day one.
So the foundational document itself kind of contradicts the GCV premise.
Directly contradicts it, yeah. There's no hidden code, no secret message, about $314,159 in there.
And promoting this GCV thing actually has real-world consequences for the promoters, doesn't it? You mentioned that Twitter user Mansing Rajput.
Yeah, the analysis brings up his claim from April 2025 that YouTube actually demonetized his channel specifically for pushing the GCV narrative.
Wow.
And it seems YouTube's policies are pretty clear. They apparently categorize GCV claims as exaggerated promises or potentially scam content.
So a major platform is basically calling it out as misinformation.
That's a pretty strong signal, yeah. It's not the core team, but it's a big external validator saying, hold on, this doesn't look right.
Okay. This feels like the point where we need to just stare the math directly in the face. Let's ignore the community hope for a second and just run the number.
Right, the uncomfortable part.
Let's pretend, just for argument's sake, that one pi was worth $314,159. What does that actually mean in terms of total value, market cap?
Okay, so the analysis uses an estimated total supply of about 8.3 billion Pi tokens. If you multiply that by $314,159, you get a market cap of approximately 2.6 quadrillion US dollars.
Quadrillion. Wait, like Q with 15 zeros.
That's the one. 2,608 billion.
Yeah. Okay, my brain just blue screened.
Yeah.
How big is that compared to, like, anything?
Well, the entire world's GDP in 2024 was around $100 trillion.
Yeah.
So this would make Pi Network worth, let me check the math here, about 26,000 times the annual economic output of the entire planet.
26,000
Yeah.
times.
Or think about Bitcoin. Its highest ever market cap was around $1.5 trillion. The whole crypto market combined, maybe $3 to $4 trillion on a good day. Pi at GCV would be hundreds of times bigger than all other cryptos combined.
So it's not just unlikely, it's breaks economics right now.
Fundamentally impossible within our current reality, yes. And it gets even more absurd when you look at token unlocks.
How so?
The analysis mentions the unlock schedule. For November 2025 alone, something like 121 to 172 million PI are expected to become liquid, transferable.
Okay.
At the GCV price, that single month's unlock represents about $38 trillion hitting the market.
38 trillion in 1 month.
Yep, that's like 38% of the annual world GDP being dumped onto the market every single month. The system would instantly collapse under that weight. It's economically nonsensical.
Okay. Point taken. But the GCV believers, how do they rationalize this? I've heard this idea of dual value.
Ah, yes, the pure Pi versus exchange Pi argument.
Explain that.
The argument goes something like this. Pi that you mined on your phone, the pure Pi, that's the stuff worth $314,159.
Well,
but the Pi being traded on exchanges for 0.24 cents. Oh, that's different. That's exchange Pi. It's tainted or not the real deal.
it's the same token, isn't it, on the blockchain?
Exactly. That's the fundamental flaw. Blockchains don't differentiate. A PI token is a PI token. It's fungible. The chain doesn't know or care if it was mined 5 minutes ago or bought on an exchange yesterday. It's just an invented distinction to try and prop up the impossible price.
So when the math completely falls apart, they resort to these kinds of logical loops.
And fake proofs.
That seems to be the pattern described here. Yeah, they need something to point to. Like the GitHub code claims. I remember seeing that. People saying the GCV value was hidden in the official code.
Right. The fact checkers looked into that specifically. Found nothing in the official Pi core team repositories on GitHub. Any proof shown seems to be either from unofficial forks, manipulations, or just irrelevant code snippets presented misleadingly.
Just noise, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then there's misinterpreting actual blockchain activity.
What do you mean? Like transactions?
Yeah. The analysis mentions a big self-transfer someone spotted on the Pi blockchain explorer, PiScan. Like, a wallet sent 314,159,000 PI to itself in September 2025.
Ah, using the magic number again?
Exactly. And the GCD community immediately jumped on it. See, it's a sign. The core team is sending us a message.
When in reality, it was probably, what, a test?
A bug?
Most likely. Technical test, maybe consolidating funds, maybe even a glitch. Crucially, a self-transfer involves zero actual money changing hands at that price. It creates no real value or liquidity. It's just moving tokens from one pocket to the other, symbolically using the number. Okay, that makes sense. But the most compelling proof for many seems to be the stories, the anecdotes, people trading bikes, phones, whatever, for Pi in places like Asia or Africa. That feels more tangible.
It does feel tangible, but it's also the hardest to verify and the easiest to poke holes in, logically.
How so?
Well, first, the analysis notes these are largely unverified anecdotes. But let's just accept one for a second. Someone trades a motorcycle for, say, 0.1 PI.
Okay. At GCV, that 0.1 PI is supposedly worth over $31,000.
Right. Now, ask yourself, why would the person who received that 0.1 PI, supposedly worth 31K, not immediately go to an exchange, sell it for the actual market price, which is dear 24 cents, get maybe a couple of cents?
Wait, sell 0.1 pi for 0.024.
Yeah, sorry, my quick math was off. 0.1 PI times 0.224 cents is 0.024 cents. So 2 cents. Why wouldn't they sell it for the tiny real market value? The story falls apart. Or they could somehow sell it for 31K. Why wouldn't they do that instantly and buy like 100 motorcycles?
Okay, yeah, the economic incentive just isn't there if the GCV isn't real. If they truly believed it was worth 31K, they wouldn't be holding it, they'd be cashing out where they could.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense if the readily available market price is cents on the dollar.
Which really underlines why this isn't just a harmless fantasy. This GCV bluff, according to the analysis, causes real harm to the pioneers, to you listening.
Definitely. There are a couple of key ways. First, direct financial loss. People holding on to, say, 100 PI, which is worth about $24 at the current market price, they refuse to sell because they're waiting for $314,159 per coin.
They're holding out for the jackpot.
Right. But if the actual market price drifts down maybe to $1.15, they've lost real potential value clinging to an impossibility. They could have had $24, now maybe $15.
And the second harm?
Reputational damage to the whole Pi project. When serious crypto people, investors, even exchange CEOs like Bybit's Ben Zhu, who the analysis notes has called Pi a scam, when they see this wildly unrealistic GCV hype dominating the conversation,
they just dismiss the entire project.
yeah, they see it as proof of delusion, of unrealistic expectations. It makes legitimate players wary and drives potential investment away.
And there's a third point here, too, about demand.
Right. If you're a pioneer and you genuinely believe your mined Pi is worth $314,159, why on earth would you buy more Pi on an exchange for $0.24? You'd think the exchange price is fake or illegitimate.
So the GCV belief actually suppresses demand for Pi at its real market price.
Which, ironically, probably contributes to keeping that market price low, or even pushing it down further. It's self-sabotaging, in a way.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, let's summarize the key takeaways, the absolute facts from this analysis.
Okay. Fact 1. The Pi core team never claimed GCV. Never.
Fact 2. The official white paper says nothing about GCV or a $314,159 price. It focuses on balanced economics.
Fact 3. The market cap math makes GCV utterly impossible without, breaking the global financial system entirely. Like 26,000 times world GDP impossible.
And fact 4. Major platforms like YouTube apparently flag GCV promotion as scam content or exaggerated claims.
So the unavoidable conclusion is that the real price is determined by the market, by utility, by supply and demand. And right now, that price is hovering around 0.24 USD. That's the reality pioneers need to work with.
So what's the actionable advice for you, the listener, the pioneer, based on all this?
Well, first and foremost, do not base your decisions on the GCV claim. Don't wait for some magical GCV implementation day. It's not coming.
Okay, but what should they do?
Follow only the official Pi Network sources. That's the @PiCore team on Twitter, the official website, mindtaya.com, the announcements in the app. Ignore the noise.
And maybe help clean up the noise.
Yeah, that's a good point. The analysis implicitly suggests this. Report GCV scam content when you see it on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. Help protect newer pioneers who might not know better yet. Understand that value comes from the market, not from fantasy numbers.
It's a stark lesson, isn't it, about the power of community belief versus, well, economic gravity.
Yeah, it really is.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If the only way 314,159 non-layers per Pi becomes remotely possible involves either destroying almost all Pi tokens forever, like 99.999% of them, or having the US dollar hyperinflate so much that a loaf of bread costs $100,000, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about the sheer force and potential danger of collective belief when it completely detaches from financial reality? Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.